Consider the sugar pill. It is, by definition, an absence, a void of medicine. It contains no active ingredient, no chemical agent designed to alter your biology. Yet, under the right conditions, this inert object can trigger profound, measurable, and very real changes in the human body. It can alleviate chronic pain, soothe anxiety, lower blood pressure, and in some documented cases, even mimic the effects of powerful pharmaceuticals. This presents a fundamental paradox, a deep fracture in our understanding of healing. How can nothing do something so powerful? This isn't a story about imagination. It is a story about the hidden architecture of our own reality. The common explanation is to say, "It's all in your head." We use this phrase to dismiss the phenomenon, to file it away as a curious quirk of the mind, protecting our belief in a predictable material world. But this dismissal is a profound error. It mistakes the location of the event for the nature of the event. The placebo effect isn't a glitch. It is a fundamental feature of our cognitive operating system. In the minutes ahead, we will dismantle that misconception. We will explore the precise mechanisms behind this power, from the neuroscience of expectation to the potent influence of narrative and authority. You will not only understand that it works, but how it works. And you will leave with a new framework for understanding the most powerful pharmacy in the world, the one that exists between your ears. To truly grasp how a simple belief can rewrite our biological reality, we must move beyond the surface-level mystery and into the functional mechanics of the mind. This isn't magic. It's a predictable, programmable process. Our exploration begins with the fundamental science of how our brain learns to expect a result and then creates it. For many, the placebo effect feels like a soft psychological quirk. The reality is that it is a hardwired biological mechanism, and its roots lie in a concept most of us learned in high school: classical conditioning. You likely remember the story of Ivan Pavlov and his dogs. Pavlov, a physiologist, observed that his dogs would begin to salivate, not just when they saw food, but when they heard the footsteps of the assistant who brought the food. The sound, initially meaningless, became associated with the coming meal. He tested this by ringing a bell every time he presented food. Soon enough, the sound of the bell alone was enough to make the dogs salivate. The bell, a neutral stimulus, had become a conditioned stimulus. It was a trigger for a real physiological response. The placebo effect operates on the exact same principle. The doctor's office, the white coat, the needle, the pill itself, these are our bells. When you have a headache and take a pill that provides relief, your brain forges a powerful association. The ritual of opening the bottle and swallowing the pill becomes linked with the result of pain reduction. After this conditioning happens a few times, the brain learns to anticipate the relief. The simple act of performing the ritual can trigger the brain to release its own powerful, natural painkiller, a class of chemicals called endogenous opioids. Your brain, expecting relief, provides it from its own pharmacy before the pill's ingredients have even had a chance to work. This is not imagination. This is your brain's predictive coding at work. It's a survival mechanism designed for efficiency. Why wait for an external chemical to act when you can start the process yourself based on a reliable cue? Studies using fMRI scans have visualized this process, showing that when a person takes a placebo, they believe is a painkiller. The areas of the brain that light up are the same ones rich in opioid receptors. The brain is actively changing itself based on expectation alone. Think of your brain as a hyper-efficient personal assistant in charge of your body's chemistry. Imagine that every time you feel a stress headache coming on, you go to a specific, quiet corner of your office and press an unusual, silent button on the wall. A minute later, a colleague brings you a soothing cup of herbal tea that makes you feel better. The first few times, the relief comes from the tea, but your assistant, your brain, is a master of pattern recognition. It notes, quiet corner, pressing the button leads to relief. After a week, the moment you walk to that quiet corner and even just reach for the button, your assistant has already put the kettle on. Your heart rate begins to slow. Your muscles start to relax. The button itself does nothing. It's a placebo. But the conditioned association, the expectation it triggers, creates a real physiological cascade. That is the essence of placebo conditioning. If conditioning is the engine, then the narrative is the fuel. A placebo's power is rarely generated in a vacuum. It is amplified or diminished by the story that surrounds it. This story is built from powerful psychological components: the ritual of the treatment, the perceived value, and critically, the authority of the person administering it. Psychologist Robert Cialdini, in his seminal work on influence, identified authority as one of the most powerful triggers for human compliance. We are conditioned from childhood to trust and obey authority figures, parents, teachers, and especially doctors. The white coat, the stethoscope, the diploma on the wall, these are not mere props. They are symbols that form a powerful story of healing. When a figure of authority gives you a treatment and says, "This will help you," their confidence becomes a part of the treatment itself. We internalize their belief, and it becomes the blueprint for our own expectation. The ritual contributes further to the narrative. The more elaborate and convincing the story, the more powerful the effect. This is why, in clinical studies, placebo injections consistently outperform placebo pills. An injection is a more dramatic, invasive ritual. It carries a story of greater potency. Even the color and branding of a pill matter. Studies have shown that placebo pills in branded packaging work better than generic ones. Blue pills are perceived as better sedatives, while red pills are seen as better stimulants. Why? Because these details add convincing chapters to the story of healing we tell ourselves. The cost of a placebo even changes its effectiveness. One study gave participants a placebo, telling one group it cost 2.5 per pill, and another group that it cost only 10 cents. The group with the expensive placebo reported significantly more pain relief. An astounding real-world example of this narrative power comes from the world of competitive sports. In one study, elite cyclists were given a saline solution, a simple saltwater placebo, but were told it was a powerful and fictional performance enhancer called OxyRBX. The narrative was compelling. They were told it would improve oxygen delivery to their muscles and boost their endurance. Fueled by this convincing lie, the athletes didn't just feel better. They were better. Their time trial performances improved by a measurable margin, an eternity in elite sports. Their bodies were responding not to a chemical, but to the power of a story they believed. They were fueled by a narrative. It's like buying a ticket to a film. The ticket itself is a worthless piece of paper, but it grants you access to a meticulously constructed experience, a dark theater, a giant screen, immersive sound, all designed to make you feel real emotions: joy, fear, sadness. The story on the screen is the remedy, but the theater, the authority of the director, the price of the ticket, that is the narrative engine that makes it all work. For every force in nature, there is often an equal and opposite reaction. The same architecture of belief that can heal can also harm. This dark twin of the placebo effect is known as the nocebo effect. Nocebo translates from Latin as I shall harm, and it demonstrates the awesome and sometimes terrifying power of negative expectation. The mechanism is identical to placebo conditioning and narrative, but the outcome is inverted. If a doctor mentions a potential side effect in a flat, cautionary tone, or if you read a long list of possible adverse reactions on a medicine's packaging, you are being exposed to a negative suggestion. Your mind, through the same predictive coding, can begin to expect those symptoms, and in many cases, it will then create them. This isn't hypochondria. These are real, physiologically measurable symptoms born from negative belief. In clinical trials for new drugs, it is a routine phenomenon. A significant percentage of participants in the placebo group, the ones receiving the sugar pills, will report the very same negative side effects that the real drug is known to cause. They report headaches, nausea, drowsiness, and fatigue, not because they've ingested a chemical, but because they were warned that they might. The suggestion became their reality. The nocebo effect is like a computer virus for the mind. An external suggestion, a stray negative comment, a scary headline, a doctor's worried expression can carry a malicious payload. Once you internalize the suggestion, the virus begins to corrupt your system's normal operations. It can cause it to slow down, display error messages in the form of symptoms, and function poorly, even when there is absolutely no underlying hardware problem. The negative suggestion rewrites the body's operating code. The history of medicine is filled with more extreme examples. Anthropological studies have documented cases in cultures with strong beliefs in curses, where individuals who were cursed would rapidly deteriorate and sometimes die, with no discernible medical cause. They died because they, and everyone in their community, shared a powerful, collective narrative that they would die. Their belief was a self-fulfilling prophecy. The nocebo effect is a sobering reminder that the power of belief is neutral. It is not inherently positive. It is simply a power. It builds what we tell it to build, and it is just as capable of constructing a prison of symptoms as it is a palace of healing. Understanding these mechanisms is not just an intellectual curiosity. It is a key that can unlock intentional influence over our own states of being, far outside the doctor's office. If the effect is triggered by conditioned ritual and narrative, then we can become the conscious designers of our own beneficial ritual. We can use the placebo principle to enhance focus, creativity, relaxation, and more. The secret is to decouple the mechanism from its medical context. You don't need a pill. You need a consistent and unique trigger associated with a desired state. This is about creating a stage for the mental role you want to play. A great actor doesn't just walk on stage and perform. They have a process. They get into costume, the lights come up, they take their position. The costume and the lights don't contain the performance, but they are powerful cues that tell the actor's mind and body, it is time to become this character. We can do the same. Let's design a placebo ritual right now. First, choose a desired mental state you want to enhance. Let's say it's deep focus for work or study. Second, choose a unique and neutral trigger, a placebo object or action. It's crucial that this trigger is not something you already do for other reasons. It could be drinking water from a specific, unusual glass that you use, quote, only for this purpose. It could be listening to a particular obscure instrumental track, or lighting a specific scent of incense. Let's use the example of a focus mug. You buy a mug that is visually distinct from all your others. You designate this as your creative coffee mug. Now, for the next 21 days, the time it often takes to form a new habit, you follow a strict rule. You only drink your morning coffee from this mug on the days you need to do deep, creative work. As you drink from it, you consciously begin your work. Over time, your brain, the master of association, forges a link. The mug, the bell, becomes conditioned with the state of focused work, the salivation. After the conditioning period, the simple act of taking out that mug and filling it will act as a powerful primer. It's a signal to your brain to quiet distractions, to increase alertness, and to get into the character of the focused worker. You have created a non-medical placebo to enhance a cognitive trait. This leads us to a crucial and final point. How do we use this knowledge ethically and without self-deception? The goal is not to lie to ourselves. It is to become conscious and intentional architects of the narratives we already live by. The key is a powerful mental model, separating the ritual from the remedy. The remedy is the thing with direct, active power. It's the healthy food, the physical exercise, the sleep, the difficult work itself. The ritual is the psychological framework you build around the remedy to support it, to make it more effective, and to make your adherence to it more consistent. We are not trying to replace remedy with ritual. We are enhancing the remedy with ritual. Think of a master gardener. The remedy for a barren plot of land is seeds, water, and sunlight. Those are the non-negotiable active ingredients. A novice might just throw seeds on the ground and hope for the best. But the wise gardener employs ritual. They carefully prepare the soil. They use a trellis for support. They weed with mindful consistency. They create a specific schedule for watering. None of these rituals contain life themselves, but they create the absolute optimal conditions for the seeds, the remedy, to flourish. Let's apply this to a real-life goal, like improving sleep. The remedy for poor sleep is clear. Maintaining a consistent sleep schedule, avoiding caffeine late in the day, and getting enough exercise. Now, let's build an ethical placebo ritual around it. The ritual could be 1 hour before your scheduled bedtime. You dim the lights in your home. You turn off all electronic screens. You make a specific, non-caffeinated herbal tea, and you read a chapter from a physical book. None of these actions are magic sleep potions. But this unshakable nightly ritual is a powerful, conditioned narrative. It is a clear story you tell your brain every single night. And it says, the day is over. It is now time to power down. It is time to produce melatonin. It is time to prepare for rest. By consciously designing this supportive framework, you are not fooling yourself. You are becoming a wise gardener of your own well-being. You are harnessing the architecture of belief to ensure the seeds of health have the best possible chance to grow. For our entire lives, we are taught to look for solutions outside of ourselves. We search for the magic pill, the perfect diet, the revolutionary technology, the external cure. We build our understanding of reality on a foundation of inputs and outputs. If I put this chemical in my body, I will get that result. And so, when we are confronted with the placebo effect, our logic short-circuits. We are faced with a deep cognitive dissonance, a powerful result with no discernible input. And in our confusion, we make an invisible cognitive error. We focus all our attention on the inertness of the pill, on its fakeness, and we dismiss the entire event as a phantom of the imagination. But this is the moment, the precise moment of that dismissal, where we miss the entire point. The great revelation of the placebo effect is this: the power was never, ever in the pill. The pill was only ever a key. The fracture in our understanding how can nothing do something is resolved when we realize we were looking in the wrong place. We were staring at the key, debating its material composition, instead of turning it in the lock to see the vast, powerful machinery it operates. The placebo effect doesn't repeat a healing force out of thin air. It unlocks the body's own profound, pre-existing, and often latent capacity to regulate, defend, and heal itself. The aha moment is the quiet, stunning realization that our body is not just a passive biological machine. It is a responsive system deeply intertwined with the stories, expectations, and beliefs held in our mind. The placebo effect reveals that our experience of reality is not a fixed, objective state we are simply passing through. It is an active, continuous co-creation. You are the architect. The world provides the materials, but your mind, your beliefs, your focus, your narratives draws the blueprint. The sugar pill is a prop. The authority of the doctor is a stage direction. The true agent of change, the director of the play, the source of the power, has been you, all along. You were simply never taught that you were in the director's chair. So, we arrive at the end of our journey, not with a magic cure, but with something far more valuable, a new map of our own capability. We have seen that belief is not a soft, ethereal concept. It is a tangible, biological force, capable of rewriting our physical experience under the right conditions. We've learned that this force works through the mechanics of conditioning and is fueled by the power of narrative. And we've seen that this power is neutral, capable of harm in the form of nocebo, or healing and enhancement when consciously directed. What, then, is the application? The transformation this knowledge offers is not a promise of sudden control over your health. It is an invitation to become a more conscious architect of your inner world. It is the understanding that the rituals you build, the stories you accept, and the environment you cultivate matter deeply. They are not trivial details. And they are the language your brain uses to write its next instruction to your body. The great takeaway is a quiet form of agency. It's the choice, from this day forward, to pay attention to your own rituals, to ask yourself, what story does my morning routine tell my brain? What expectation does my work environment create? Can I design a small, supportive ritual around a habit I wish to build? You don't need to believe in magic. You only need to accept the profound and scientifically validated truth that your mind and body are in a constant, intimate conversation. Understanding the placebo effect simply gives you the ability to participate in that conversation with more intention, more wisdom, and more grace. You hold the blueprint. Now, you can begin to build.